Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumu and it's great to be on this show. I'm very excited about this episode because we are focusing on a book written by and about a great Nigerian brand. One of the things that has always bothered me is that Nigerian organizations hardly write their stories in books. Some years ago, I stumbled on a book about the story of Amazon and also another one about Cadbury. I bought both books and then began to develop a small library of company biographies. And that's very, very important. Any company in Nigeria that has hit 20 years should be given a salute, because a 20-year-old company in Nigeria is like a 200-year-old company elsewhere, given the challenging business conditions you find around here. Well, let me not talk too much. Meristem Securities Limited has written a book that tells the fascinating story of that brand. I read the book and I said, wow, wow, wow. You know, you hear about some brands out there, they are famous and they're just out there, but you never really get to know the story of how the vision came about and the foundation was laid and so many other things. Well, this book tells the story of this company. Well, let's get to enjoy what this book titled Budding is all about, and then learn about the brand called Meristem. Enjoy this.
Meristem Securities Limited is one of the leading capital market conglomerates in Nigeria and across the world that provides a plethora of distinct financial services, including wealth management, stockbroking, financial advisory, trustship, registrars and probate management services, investment banking, lease and loans. Often, organizations do not tell their stories in books, but Meristem, in line with its tradition of being unique, has documented a story of the organization 20 years after its establishment in this book titled Budding. Mubo Olasoko, Registrars and Probate Services Limited, and MD of Meristem Finance Limited, joins Channel's Book Club to discuss Budding, the Meristem story.
Mugo, nice to have you on Channels Book Club. It's great to have you here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're the one hosting us, right? So it's great for you to have us here, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Budding, the Meristem story. Not many organizations in Nigeria have put their stories in books. Years ago, I saw a book about Amazon. There were 10 then. The book was quite thick. So I started collecting books written by corporate organizations around the world. But I never found a lot written by Nigerian organizations. So well done doing this. If I may ask, what inspired the organization to put your story in a book?
All right. Thank you very much once again for coming. At Meristem, we like to be distinct and preferred. And that underpins everything that we do. We like to establish benchmarks that peers or competitors have not even thought about. And so when we're turning 20, we looked at all of the activities that we can do really to put into perspective our growth story. And we felt that to make it long and lasting, that we'll put it in a book. And even in trying to put together the book, you found out that some of the memories were already fading. So it's good that at this time, we're able to do this. So it puts it in a book for even generations that are going to come after us to be able to read the Meristem story, how we started, what inspired us, and so they can carry on, with that same spirit.
You are one of the fantastic four described in this book. One of the earliest members of the organization. Reading the story, you feel a sense of a nostalgic feeling when you go through the story in this book. Does it does it capture the story of all those years as properly as you would have wanted?
Yes, it's really, I can tell you, it's really very interesting to be able to sit down and read, some of those things that happened. And it gives one a sense of achievement, a sense of accomplishment, sort of, because, it's like you wake up every day, you come to work, you just do your own thing, you're carrying on. But going back and looking at it, then you see that you have done some phenomenal work, that needs, to be recognized. So it's really nice, that we can put this together and we can read it and we can be happy with ourselves that we did, what we were supposed to do. It may not be very all-encompassing because, like I said, some memories may be lost, but everything that is here is as it happened that we can recollect perfectly. Yeah.
I find this book to be beyond merely telling the story of a brand. I find a lot of it's inspiring. Like the late Air Commodore Mudashiru Bolahon, the founder, Mudashiru, the way he founded the company and then brought people in and laid out the vision and all that. Did you have that in mind when putting this together? Did you intend to inspire and to share these various aspects of the story in such ways that people can be inspired?
Okay, so I'll say both. One, storytelling, because there's also lessons to be learned in storytelling, and also something as an inspiration, for us, who had been here to know that, okay, we did this. And then for those, that are going to come after us. And what Meristem does is they do everything deliberately. It doesn't just happen. Like when the company was to start, we came together in a week-long retreat to chart the future, for the organization. We had a retreat, and then we determined from the onset what it is that we want to achieve as an organization. So to be able to look back at those times and then to be able to see that some of those things that were actually agreed on, I still have some of the manuscripts of some of those things that we scripted at that time when we started. So looking back to see that, okay, so this is where we're coming from and this is what we have evolved to, that these things that we agreed to do, we actually stayed true to them. And then we are still progressing. Is very encouraging.
If I look at the success of your company and reading this book, three things stand out for me in terms of, if I were to be asked why your company has been successful, I would say the initial vision. I would say the structure, or what you might want to call corporate governance structure that was put in place at the beginning. And I would say the team, the quality of people brought in. Would you agree with that? Or is there something you would like to add to that? The reason why over the years you've been able to get to where you are as an organization as shared in this book?
Thank you very much. The three things you mentioned, are fundamental. Also, in addition, were people, who helped us, along the way, because there were some aspirations that we had, which of our own, would never have been able to achieve it. But along the line, we met with some corporate people, that really helped us along the way. So vision, yes. The vision, the people, and then the structure that was put in place in the first place. And then this formed, like the architectural frame for the company. Then we added some of all these other things that really helped us. So we carved the vision mission from the beginning, knowing where we're going. We put the right people in place, and then the structure. We didn't set out to start as a small company. Some small companies don't care about corporate governance. They don't care about the right structures. They just feel that they're a small organization. But right from when we were just 6 members of the organization, of the company, all of this were already, the framework was already put in place.
One thing I also enjoyed in your book is the backdrop. So it's not just the story of Meristem, but also one gets to learn about the story of the financial services sector in Nigeria, the stockbroking sector, if I may call it that. For example, the 2008 global financial meltdown was part of the story. And Meristem also had it rough at that time, as a lot of other companies had it. I like the part where you described how the MD, Mr. Wale Abegunde, stood by his window, rattled by everything that was happening, and didn't know what to do next. It's very interesting reading those backdrops because they take you down memory lane as far as Nigeria is concerned, as far as the financial services sector and the corporate environment in Nigeria is concerned. Was that deliberate? I mean, setting those backdrops. So you set out to tell those stories for some reasons.
In Meristem, we also believe in the hand of God. You know, a hand that is behind that is also shaping things that we're doing. So I'm sure everybody knows about the 2007 up to 2009 meltdown in the market and how things were tough, how investors lost money, and those that still had some money left, you know, wanted to just take their money out. Everything went haywire. And of course, even a bank, the biggest bank in the world, when you have a run on the bank, you know, even if they have some money elsewhere, somewhere, it's not easy to bring it out and just pay everybody all at once. So it was the same thing that was happening to us. Because there was a meltdown, every investor was now selling down their portfolio and taking monies out. And of course, as a company, you don't just keep money in a safe waiting for people to come and pick them. And by regulation, you cannot not accede to a client's request for their fund. So clients were selling down shares and we needed to make payments and we didn't have money in the bank. However, we had some form of OD with banks, but even at that time, the banks themselves were struggling, so they were not honoring obligations. So at that time, we said we had to pay our clients. We're not sure where payments were going to come from. We're hoping that somehow, if the investor goes to the bank will call us, given that we have relationship with them, and then we can say, okay, plead with them to say, okay, make payments. We will regularize the account later. But we found out that while this was happening, 1 week, 2 weeks, the checks were going out and they were not coming back. And we were wondering what's happening. You know, is it that the bank has been so magnanimous, you know, to restore our OD? Is that why they are not coming back to us? But we got uneasy about 2 weeks when checks were still being paid and there was no news from the bank. So my MD had to instruct the accountant then to go to the bank and check what is happening with the bank account. And when she checked, she discovered that there was money
been a miraculous deposit
into the account. And so that was how we were able to weather that storm. Although we paid back the money after the investigation was discovered, which bank the money came from, contacted them, you know, talked about it. But it helped us through that 3 weeks or 1 month period. Yeah. And then the money went back to
I like the fact that you share in this book the good, the bad, and the ugly,
yeah,
you know, of the history of the organization. And that's a very good thing. This book, in many ways, is about people. From the beginning, from the first page up until the last page, it's all about people, just mentioning various characters. Is that the Meristem story? Is the Meristem story about people?
Okay, so how do I describe our culture? Meristem culture is a very warm, friendly culture, such that even in our recruitment process, you know, we take that into consideration in looking at the kind of people, you know, that comes into Meristem. And so it is the same spirit, you know, that friendliness spirit, that sense of loyalty to one another, you know, that really drives us, and which is what also drives our performance as an organization. We like to help one another. We like to leverage on the capability of each and every one of us. We don't see anybody who steps into Meristem as an employee is viewed as a partner. And so we carry ourselves along, you know, in that way. And whatever that we need to do is like a shared value, a shared kind of way by which we do our own thing. So our people are very important to us. And in one of our core values is our Meristem, our people, because we believe that without them, we can't achieve whatever it is that we have set out to do. So people, very important to us. We use people leverage a lot to be able to achieve where we are. Even if we have structures, we have vision, and we don't have people to help us through, then we can't do it.
It was also nice seeing a lot of characters that over the years have become famous in Nigeria. Just seeing some parts of their stories in the Meristem story. Years ago, Mr. Jemovia of Zenith Bank, Aliko Dangote, and a whole lot of people like that. Quite interesting. And some of the interesting engagements you had, the Bagco experience, the WAPCO experience,
you got it.
And all those is interesting because if somebody reads this, it's not just Meristem you get to meet. You also, like I said earlier, the backdrop, reading all these things. And you had an experience where you used to be client services before, and then you were moved from there to becoming a registrar or something. And you felt even at some point in time as if that was part of some conspiracy to cut short your career. Interesting story. Can you share a bit of that?
Okay. Again, I'll have to refer to Meristem and what we believe. In Meristem, we believe that as a human being, there's nothing that is impossible for you to do. So even when you don't have the skills or we think that your capacity is still a bit short,
you are thrown into the deep end.
You have to throw in there and we'll watch you. So if you swim, we'll clap for you. But if it looks as if you are going to sink,
we'll pull you out.
We'll pull you out, throw you a lifeline, so that you can come out. So I was the head of client services and operations at Meristem Securities. And then the issue of Bagco happened at Meristem Registrars Limited. And we needed somebody to go there very quickly to go and sort things out. And just one morning, my MD called me and said, look, you have to move to Meristem Registrars. How on earth? I don't have the experience. I've never worked in registrars. How am I going to cope? Well, I shared it and I was encouraged to go. And I went, and all through the time I was there, and it happened to be when we had a problem with Bagco. So it wasn't just an ordinary going to manage a subsidiary that you don't have an experience with. It's also that there was a problem on ground which needed to be addressed. So coupled, those two things together, I had to just go there and weather it. And I was thinking that, look, maybe they just want me to go, and there's no way for them to tell me. So they want to set me up for failure so that there can be a reason, for me to leave. But through it all, I weathered the storm. The issues passed, the company grew, and then they're good.
And here you are today.
And here I am.
Is that also connected to diversity of backgrounds that people in your organization seem to have, from microbiology to agric to, people just come from all sorts of places and become experts in your field. Is that consistent with the idea of throwing people into the deep end and getting them to grow and learn?
Yeah. I keep referring back to Meristem. We believe that part of the thing that we sell is also knowledge. There's no how you be in an industry and then you're not knowledgeable about what it is that you sell. So whatever background that you come with, and you know that you want to make a career, within the system, you are encouraged. You are allowed, to do things, that help to develop you, that makes you to get the qualification and the capacity to make you a subject matter expert. So I, for instance, I read theater arts, in my first degree. But when I came here, I knew that if I had to grow in this place, there was no how that I won't have a professional qualification that relates to the work that I do. So that prompted me to do the professional qualification of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and so many other things, and even the ICMR exam and the other things that one needed to do one's job. And in Meristem is a very competitive place. Not competitive in the negative sense. It's like you want to build yourself up. You want to just self-improve yourself. We have a number of CFA holders, within the system. We have more than 20 Associate of Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, and some other qualifications, chartered accountants, and the rest of them. And so even your first degree that you have also plays a part, because sometimes, we need knowledge about those particular aspects. Yes, yes. And so, we still tap, from all of those. So it's all good.
Those Abegunle stories all over the book, from the very beginning up, very beginning. And as a young person, him coming into the organization, bold, confident, and then asking for too much, but well deserved. And he's proven that over the many years. Great to hear that. And same with, in a way, Mr. Suleiman Adedokun, right?
Yeah.
He's the
deputy group managing director.
And he was one of the Fantastic Four too, right? Or was he? Or he came in
he came
later?
In a bit later.
Later.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic team. Well done. So, thank you very much. And I really hope that this will inspire a lot of other organizations in Nigeria to tell their stories, put their stories in book form like this. So, well done to Meristem.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Companies out there, Meristem has set the example. Get your stories out. Very important. And it's so great to have brands like that are flying the Nigerian flag locally and internationally. What an inspiring story. If you're a young Nigerian entrepreneur, business starter, well, you want to read a story like that. It will certainly get you going. Well, before we round up the show today, let's enjoy a reading.
Hello, my name is Anoluwa Koka, and I'm the author of the book The Sweetest Thing. I currently live in the UK as a project manager in IT, and I write on the side. The reason why I wrote this book was just to, first of all, test if I could write. One, two, because I love Lagos and I wanted to write something uplifting about Lagos and the vibe and living in Lagos and growing up in Lagos and schooling in Lagos. And so that's why I wrote the book, just to make sure there's a different side of Lagos that is normally not portrayed, that is Lagos. And basically I'll be reading an excerpt from my book, and it will be the chapter that is Meet the Girls. So driving through Lagos on Sundays may be therapeutic. It cures one of weekdays and Saturday road madness. The free road calms your nerves and drives the demons away. Sunday is the only day of rest in the chaotic city, as Saturdays are for the unending Owambes. Driving to my friend Tara's place on a Sunday takes less than 20 minutes, and all my goals will be at hers. Tara is married and she's got 2 children, and of the 7 girls, she's my confidant, the one person I could speak to frankly about things that bothered me. Once a month, the whole crew comes around to our book club, but really it's the analysis of men. Nothing beats having friends to help you through breakups. All 7 of us come together every month to discuss the book we're reading, gossip about celebrities, to talk about our men issues. Occasionally, mutual friends pop in when they can. And this is our own therapy, a way of talking about the stress we go through each month, including men and money tales. As usual, Tara's house was buzzing with noise. Tara, I must say, married smart and right. This is where the Nigerian way comes into play. Do you marry smart, or do you marry for love, or do you marry for convenience? My mother taught me to marry a man that loves me. My book and movies tell me to marry a man you love and loves you. My brain tells me I marry a man I love, not just him loving me. So many conflicting ideologies. Tara married a classmate, University Dio. Their relationship was one of those classroom romances that should naturally fizzle out after school days. but the lovebirds stayed in touch throughout the NYC days, and 3 years after, we had a wedding to plan. They were just both starting out life, and we're all skeptical about our choice, but their love didn't care. Over the years, Dad has been doing so well career-wise, and Tara did not have to resume her corporate job after her first baby. She got herself involved with what she loves doing best, catering, and she's made enough money from it. It's been 5 years, and my friend has never ever regretted marrying her husband for one day. My name is Anolua Kokar, and I'm the author of this book, The Sweetest Thing. Thank you all for listening, and cheers.
This is where we have to end today's episode. As always, we'll be very delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.